Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also listen to this on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we have a PayPal account for any donations that you'd like to give. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. Welcome, everybody, to the Gate Expectations podcast, where I bring in a weekly guest, talk all things Yu-Gi-Oh!, and get to know a little more about each person I talk to. This is the only Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast that is run by a full-fledged journalist such as myself. This is episode 31. If you haven't checked it out yet, you can check out earlier podcasts with guests like Steven Trivanosky, Jesse Cotton, Team Samurai X1, Farfa, Crush Cards, Simo, and many more. My guest for this week is the man behind Luxury Gaming. He is a multiple YCS topper, a UDS topper, and winner of a 3v3 YCS. And you've likely seen him on stream hosting tournaments. It's Hani Jawhari. Hani, man, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm glad I can be on and talk about the LCS and my experience throughout the game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Because I know that you're like the big figurehead behind the LCSs, and then we just had one a couple weeks ago. Fantastic success, and it seems like it also seems like your tournaments right now are becoming even more and more popular than like the Konami sanctioned ones right now. And there's like a lot of prestige going on behind that. So, first of all, can you tell me a little bit more about like Luxury Gaming itself?
Yeah. So Luxury Gaming started off as something very small. In 2018, I got signed to the team pretty much. I met this person named Jeff York. He introduced me to the team, and honestly, it started off very small. They did have their own tournament group. It was 250 people in the group when I joined. Not too many. There was one other tournament group that was also in the loop, but we seen that they didn't really do too many tournaments and they weren't as consistent with them. So I ended up being sponsored by them. I did really well in that format. This is Goki format, Secaucus. I ended up getting top 8, which brought a lot of traction. And I started hosting a lot of tournaments online, just smaller ones, 4-mans, 8-mans, 16-mans. And I pretty much ran tournaments throughout, the whole entire, years I've been pretty much doing this. So from 2018 to, 2021, which is now. But I pretty much ran smaller tournaments until COVID, until COVID hit.
Yeah.
I ended up going into something much bigger. I was in New Jersey at the time with my sponsor, Nicholas Callis, who's a really good friend of mine, and like I said, my sponsor. And we discussed about running online YCSs pretty much because, no events were going to happen, and we think it would be a good idea to have something for the community since nothing is going to actually be going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I took it upon myself to actually put in a lot of work and try to make this a thing. So from there on, I ran my first LCS, and after the winner had won, and I heard him crying in the background and his family in the background, that honestly inspired me to do more with this.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I pretty much, just took off, and I kept trying to make it as perfect as possible and make it something much bigger. So honestly, now the page is at 9,000 members, I believe. So we're at 9,000 members, and I'm really just trying to have this grow. We just launched our website, and we're going to be starting to use our website a lot more now. And I'm really excited for the future for this. And I do plan to run more LCSs throughout the years, especially since I think events aren't going to be coming back to at least 2022. And even if events do come back, I do think I'm going to be still running this. And if anything, just try to work maybe with the company itself in the future and try to go from there. Because I'm not the type to just, have like competitors and stuff like that. Like right now with the remote duels going on, it's kind of weird, scheduling events.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, my events have been bigger for the most part, but It's still weird, competing with others.
Not to mention that there's a lot of prestige that goes on behind your tournaments because when I talk to several other players that have participated in your tournaments, they tell me that it's a really difficult grind going through your tournaments because you're really attracting like some of the best, like, not only just North America, but like the entire world. Like, for example, we had Gabriel Nets and Christian Thompson and Paulo Gonçalves. Like, none of them are from North America, and they came in and won your tournament. So you're attracting a worldwide attention for one thing for your tournament, and not to mention that every single match you're going to go through is like tough. Like, this isn't for like any casual or anything like that. This is for like the best of the best. Like, did you ever see that these tournaments would kind of take off and become the way that they were now?
Yeah, I knew that eventually this was going to happen because I just put in the amount of time and effort to make it something so consistent, something so amazing. Like, if you participated in the LCS 10 3v3, it was probably just the best ran tournament that I've ran in a while. And honestly, like, it was just so consistent. Like, the rounds went fast. There was no real wait time. Like, as soon as the round ended, we started another one. We had multiple judge on staff. Everything was super, super consistent. Like, I can't even explain how consistent it was. It's honestly just as it feels like you're just playing an IRL event, but the
Mhm.
difference is you're just on a laptop and you're going through Discord. It's really that consistent. I really do want to bring more people on, and I want to show them how much fun and how good the experience is playing this tournament.
And that was also something that both Christian and Gabriel told me of that your tournament was run like so well and so smoothly. Like, we've seen a lot of people like during like the remote duel invitationals, like those events, like the sanctioned events, and that they took like so like egregiously long and they were so painful. Like, I had friends coming out of it at like 2 a.m. in the morning, like Eastern Standard Time, which was like just crazy. But you guys were finishing off at like, it was well run. You guys finished off like a really decent time, and like, a lot of people were really happy with the way your tournament was run. So, in doing that, like, are you really happy with the way like your product has been going so far, like in comparison to Konami, which has had like several complaints so far about how they're running their tournaments?
Yeah, I'm very happy with the results of my tournaments. I
Mhm.
try to make them as consistent as possible. I do understand it could be frustrating waiting for rounds for a long period of time, so I do try to make things as fast as possible. A lot of people, uh, do complain sometimes about the time, but I really do try my best to make sure it runs smoothly and as fast as possible. Like, during LCS 10, there was no time in Top Cut, which was a mistake on my part and my staff's part. I honestly didn't know that they were not running the clock for that, but
Mhm.
one obviously it'll be adjusted, and I'll make sure it's more consistent. So for every single event, I do make sure that improvements are made, and it could be the best tournament possible, the best experience possible for the players. I really do try to aim for that. Like, consistency is key, and that's what I'm trying to aim for.
And that's just it, like, it's like a learning process, like, as you get like the first tournament isn't always going to be perfect, but then you always improve upon it, and that's part of your goal right now is to make these tournaments as best you can. Of course they can't not going to be perfect, like not any tournament is, but that's what you want to do, and you want to strive to have like a really good product for those out there, especially with the gaining popularity that the LCSs have been having.
Yep. And honestly, right now, the main focus for me is pulling in more sponsors to make the event just much bigger, more prize support. Like, the better the prizing, the better the tournament, in my opinion. I do aim for bigger prizings because honestly, like, a lot of the events that other people host, the prizing is just so janky, and I honestly try to make it to where it's fair on both sides. Yeah, honestly, I'm just trying to make it to where the staff is getting paid well and the players are getting paid well because prizing is the number one thing to me. I want everyone to feel like they're getting good money in return. I want this to be something big. I don't want it to be something to where you put in all these hours for day one and for day two, and you don't get paid accordingly. I'm trying to put in I'm trying to put it into perspective of of the players. I'm trying to have everyone get paid out for their time. It's not like it's a tournament that's going to last, maybe like 1 or 2 hours. It's a tournament that's going to last, 2 days. And to leading up to the tournament, to practice and all that, it does take, time out your day. And I do think getting paid accordingly for that is something very important. So prize support is something that I'm trying to focus on to be like the best prize support in the game pretty much.
What was the prize support that was for the LCS 3v3 that just happened a couple weeks ago?
It was all of top 16 got playmats. Top 8 got $300 for the team, so it's $100 each. Top 4 got, I believe, $200 each. For third and fourth. It might have been a little bit more. I can't recall off the top of my head. I remember first place specifically getting $2,100.
Nice.
And second place, I believe, got $1,200. So, a lot of cash involved, a lot of money involved. I really do try to focus on giving good prize support, and of course there was boxes that were given out. Pretty much a whole entire case of the newest set got distributed, as well as trophies. So, a lot of product. You get a lot in return for $20. That's what my main goal is. I'm not trying to give everyone a playmat and be like, thanks for playing. I'm trying to give everyone something that's much bigger.
And Gabriel was making a little joke because you still have to send him another trophy from one of his other past victories, saying that, you can hold on to those 2 ones. And if he wins another one, you can send all 3 in a little package. So
I have to
just as a little joke.
I have to ship all 3 to him. So a big package, a lot of these LCSs are happening monthly, and due to COVID and stuff, the mats sometimes get delayed. There's delays, the weather. So to get everything shipped out, it's definitely challenging, especially since I'm dealing with a lot of European shipments.
Yeah.
So it's it's a lot when it comes down to that.
Yeah.
The thing is about my tournaments is we pay the shipping. We do all the work when it comes down to paying for shipping and stuff like that. We're really lenient about that, and shipping isn't cheap. It's
it definitely isn't.
It's definitely a lot, especially when you're dealing with a lot of European players, which is majority of my player base, in my opinion. I think a lot more European players play than NA players.
And your prize support is like astronomically large here, like with how much money you're giving out. And Yu-Gi-Oh sanctioned Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, they don't give out any money at all. So do you think that your prize structure is like a big draw among like other things as why like a lot of people kind of circulate to the LCSs?
Yeah, I think the prize support is a big reason. And honestly, at this point, I think it's also the consistency. Like now, when people are joining tournaments, as soon as they end, they're realizing how consistent the event was, and they're honestly wanting to play another. That's the main goal. This is the reason why I try to aim for consistency. So people come back. If you have a bad experience, are you really going to come back? That's what it comes down to. No one has a bad experience and they're like, yeah, I'm going to go back and play now. That's something that people strive for, a good experience.
Yeah, so it's really about just like developing like your own community with LCSs and luxury gaming, and just kind of like turning into something your own. So like people can have like a place to play, especially during these times where like so many players are like starved for playing Yu-Gi-Oh because of the whole COVID-19 pandemic.
Yep. My goal is just to get a place for people to play and enjoy the game. Before this, I used to play tournaments, all over the world, and I enjoyed it so much. So I couldn't imagine not having a place to play. So, you take a couple sacrifices. You don't play. I don't play as much as I used to anymore, I'll play here and there, but I took a couple sacrifices, and now I just host tournaments for the community,
Do you think that that's a really good factor in the way you run your tournaments, considering that you're also like a top tier player as well? Because we've seen
Yeah.
so many tournaments where like we've seen like they're run by people who like play casually or don't really play the game anymore, or something like that. Whereas opposed to you, like you've played like all these tournaments, you've won a YCS, you've topped a whole bunch of them, so like exactly what like the players want. Like you're a pretty good representative of what like all the big names want and all that to really host like a good quality tournament.
Yeah, I'm all in for the people. Like when
Mhm,
I'm doing this, I'm literally doing it for the people.
mhm,
The amount of money and time I put into this, like it's for no one else. It's just for the people at this point, you know.
yeah.
And I try to make it as consistent as possible. I can't I can't even use this for content, you know. It's all for the people. Like
Mhm,
when it comes down to Twitch streaming for YouTube and for all that, like look how many people are doing coverage over the LCS, you know? Like
mhm.
there's really minimal benefits for us. We're honestly just doing it for the people. So that's why I try to make this something, you know, big and hopefully, you know, people enjoy it. And
Mhm.
I just want to continue to make this bigger and bigger, you know?
Mhm. So, it's like, what is it about your tournaments here? Like, just give me a picture. Is it why is it that your tournaments are like appealing to all these masses?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you, you know, because I see PPG tournaments and I see all these other tournaments, and you know, little to no coverage is focused on these tournaments. No one really puts any type of coverage on it.
Mhm,
I don't know why people are just so interested into the LCS, you know. As soon as the like the weekend of the LCS, you could see everybody on this earth is pretty much streaming it. Like
mhm,
look at
mhm,
every Twitch channel. Like everyone wants to stream the LCS. And
mhm.
then everybody wants to grab the replays, post them on YouTube. Everyone wants to be involved in this into this LCS. I really couldn't tell you why, but honestly, I'm happy that people are enjoying it, and that's you know what I want.
Yeah, and you guys have been running like consistent tournaments like throughout, and really like trying to reach out to the community here because again, like I think cash tournaments are like a really big thing that a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh players are starved for, since Konami like won't give it to us because that's just the way that they want to be. That's the way they want to run their business. So, and then seeing the prize support, I was amazed when Gabriel and Christian were telling me what your prize support was. I'm like, $700. Like, that's a lot of money considering. Like, I know you can win like prize cards and stuff
Yeah,
at YCS like that, but like you're not like Konami affiliated per se. So like giving out these kind of prizes is huge to give it back to the community.
yeah, and honestly, like for this one, it was only $700, but
Mm-hmm.
for the single ones, they're a lot more money. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're way more for first place. Let's say you know we got the same like same. Yeah, so for this one, it was about 400 people. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say if this one was just a normal LCS with 400 people,
Mm-hmm.
the price for first, it would have been from $3,000 to $4,000 if it was just a regular structured tournament. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not even including the boxes, the trophies, the mats, like so, you know, the bigger the tournament, the bigger the prize pool. You know.
Yeah, and I mean that's typically how tournaments are, but like it's just shocking like how big like your prize support is, and I think that's a big reason why your people are so drawn to your tournaments. That how competitive it is, first of all, because like every single name I see is like a big name that's out there. I'm like, geez, I feel like if I go in there, I might be going like 0-2 drop or something like that. Even though I would think I'm a very good player myself, but these guys are like the best of the best that are coming out here. So that's another thing. And this is and it's a really great spectacle to see because a lot of people want to see these these heavyweight bouts that you're putting out there. Like we're seeing a lot of great players that are like Paul Cooper, for example. Like he was there in the finals, and I'm pretty sure and people were wondering where he was and for a while, and then he came second place, and so he did a really good job out there. And it's the kind of names that your tournament's able to draw, and I think also that's a big factor in why your tournaments are so popular.
Yeah, I try to, you know, I try to bring in all the big names. I try to, you know, I'm good friends with a lot of these people because, you know, I traveled to events with them. and I've spoken to a lot of them. So when I told them I was doing this LCS thing, they all pretty much got on board. They seen that I was giving good pricing, and honestly, that's when everyone really just jumped ship. And now people are also seeing it as a way to grow their channels for Twitch and YouTube, and it's honestly just getting everyone involved. And it's not only just the top big players, it's also everyone wants great content. Like, this is where all the content is. This is where the format starts. When the ban list comes out and there's a new format, who is introducing the format?
Mhm.
Like, it's usually just the LCS, because as soon as the list drops, it's the first event there. So we're pretty much showing everyone what we pretty much shaped the format, is the best way to say it.
Mhm. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure like you would like let's say the but it won't be official until like a few weeks later. But your turn's like we'll do it right now. Like, because I'm sure that people
Yeah.
are inkling to test their decks right now. Like, I mean, when the list comes, because they're getting the stuff and they can't wait. And I'm pretty sure that you guys do those kinds of tournaments.
Yep.
And
We
go ahead, sorry.
we definitely just want to have it to where everyone's playing something new.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, that's how we run our events. Um, let's say we're in this format right now. We wouldn't run a tournament until the next set, because we don't like the fact that we're playing the same format over and over. It has to be interesting. We don't like running tournaments when the format's pretty much stale.
Mm-hmm.
We try to introduce something new. So let's say a new box comes out, that we'll run a event a week or two after the set is released. We don't try to run events with like the old stale lists and stuff, because it's just not fun. We try to make it
Mm-hmm.
fun. We try to make it something new. We put so much planning into our events before we post them. Like LCS 11, a lot of people have hit me up asking when is that going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, I'm really just waiting for a ban list, because the format how it is right now, it's nothing crazy. It's the same format we've been playing, and honestly, I'm trying to have something new come out.
Yeah. Then, for example, like because like the freezing chains like structure that came out, like would that have any effect at all in like possibly having like an LCS coming up soon, or would you rather wait for like something bigger of like that ban list?
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna go ahead and wait until the ban list at this point. Um, I could run events, but right now I know that Konami has a lot of events planned, so I'm not really trying to interfere with any of those.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're running events both weekends of March, like the two last weekends of March. So I'm gonna go ahead and run mine a week before theirs. So I guess it would be the weekend of the 13th or the 14th. I think that's the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that would probably be the weekend of the LCS, and hopefully a list is out by then. Because if not, then I might unfortunately have to host an LCS a weekend of a remote duel invitational.
Yeah.
And and like honestly, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to interfere with other tournament organizers, especially Konami, because I understand. It's their game. I just don't feel comfortable running events during the same weekend as them. I'm very courteous when it comes down to stuff like that.
Are you also trying to coordinate with Konami too, so that way you don't have like like a stale format? So let's say, for example, if they have like the same if they have one format, and then let's say there's like an LCS happening, you don't want that to be the exact same format as the remote duel invitational, or is that something that you consider at all?
I think it's fine. Like when a list drops to run a tournament, like the week of, so people can prepare for the Konami events.
Mm-hmm.
I know not too many people are into remote duels, and I honestly know why, but um, I still try to cater for those players, and I try to make it to where they can get something to test before entering. So I try to run my events, a week before theirs, and sometimes after, depending, but usually just before their tournament. So people can have something to test and play around with.
And I think that a lot of people really resonate your tournaments because you're giving them exactly what we've been asking for a long time. Like we want cash tournaments. We like highly competitive stuff. Not to say that Konami doesn't have competitive tournaments, but like these are really like hyper competitive with like a really like global following for one thing,
Yeah,
and like major prize support. Like this is everything that like the legacy players or like the big players like you would like want in a tournament, and you're giving it to them because you've been on that other side, and I know that you like to play the large tournaments as well. So I think that's what the great thing about the LCSs are, because it's doing exactly what we want. Like this is the
yeah,
feedback that we're trying to give to Konami. It's like they're not doing it, but you guys are.
yeah. Honestly, it's the way I look at it is like what tournament would I want to play in?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I can never play in a tournament like this, but I'm giving everyone the opportunity to.
Mm-hmm. It's such an easy question to ask yourself. It's like, what do I want out of a tournament, and like why do we run tournaments like that? And you kind of took that very simple question and kind of run with it right now. We've already we're already at LCS 10. We've already done that one. Now we're moving on to the 11th one. It's seen some fantastic success so far. So first of all, I'm really glad that you're like really taking off with this, and I'm glad that you're putting out these tournaments, which is fun to watch. And again, like unlike Konami, like you're allowed to stream these games that you're playing as well, which I also think is a big factor, because like there's a lot of like big name players that do a lot of streaming, and they want to put this as content as well, as you mentioned earlier. Like like Pac, for example, I know he does that a lot with your channel, and I'm sure that it's also like win-win situation for you, because you're getting publicity and he's getting publicity. It's not a zero sum game here. Both years are winning in this situation. Konami won't allow that.
Yeah. I'm just trying to cater for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm lenient when it comes down to stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to cater for everyone. I mean, um, it's very hard for us to put out content for the fact that everyone else is using our content. So it's really hard for us to actually grow outside of just running the tournament, since everyone is just on coverage.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no real control of that, because of the fact that it's all ran through Dueling Book. There's no real control over like who's streaming and who can't. Like Konami and PPG, they can put they put restrictions to where people can't stream, and we can't really control that due to the fact that it's on Dueling Book,
Mm-hmm.
and for the fact that it's just it's a public server.
Mm-hmm. And like speaking of having your own content, like you guys like do have your own YouTube channel, and you guys do have your own stream or whatnot, and you guys post stuff a lot about it. But I know I feel like, do you just go hard more on Twitch than you do on YouTube for your content?
Yeah. For Twitch, we do go really hard on. For YouTube, we were gonna go ahead and post our replays for LCSs and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just too much. It's too much for us to do since we're running the event,
Mm-hmm.
and at this point, there's no way we can actually post on YouTube, since there's people in the community that just stream our LCSs, and like we can't even put out our own content due to the fact that like people are just streaming our events and posting it themselves. That's the issue.
Mm-hmm. So the fact that that your content isn't really being like exclusively broadcast is kind of why like you just really haven't bothered like doing it through YouTube and whatnot.
Yeah, because if it's not really exclusive, it's just it's just too many people doing it, and honestly, like growth is just very hard when you're having a lot of the people do the same thing. That's the thing about like the YouTube scene. I feel like a lot of the people are doing the same thing, and it's very hard for growth when it's everyone doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just hurts everyone on all sides, pretty much. The only person I can tell you right now that I think has the best content on YouTube is Pac, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly, like the reason I say that is because he puts out content that's like no other. Like he is so innovative with his content. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually unreal, and there's so much benefits off his channel. Like if you're a new and upcoming player, you learn so much from this guy, and he pretty much puts everything in perspective for all players,
Yeah.
and that's something that I think is huge. Like, I look at all these other channels, and honestly, I see nothing to really gain from except for his. Like, and that's, I know this sounds crazy, but like it's honestly like the truth. Like, I look at Farfa's channel. Uh, he's huge for just being, he just likes to, clown around. He has a
Mhm.
huge fan base. They're always trolling. I do enjoy watching his stuff, but from a competitive standpoint and from from a player standpoint, if you're really trying to improve at this game,
Mhm.
the only channel I would go to is Pack TCG.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because like everyone has like something to offer for it, like, and Pack is definitely that, because when you look at him, he's very young in this game in the sense that he has not played this game long, but the way he looks at things, especially the game, it's incredible how it is, because he's gotten so much success so fast. Like, I've never seen a guy who's been this good at the game so quickly before. And Pack's definitely looked at this game like at a completely different level. So I love watching Pack and going to his streams, because he definitely has something new. And for example, if you go to my podcast, I'm not really like the one offering the most, like, the best advice. It's more a lot of theory from a lot of other players. That's not, you don't go to my channel like entirely for that kind of stuff. It's more about, profiles on who it is. But yeah, but Pack definitely, for like, if you want to learn more about the game, I'm with you on board on that one with the content he puts out, and it's fantastic for what he does for the community.
Yeah, and honestly, I do really like the concept of your channel, because you're not only targeting top players, you're also targeting the content creators, and that's just huge, because you're involving the whole community. A lot of people would just,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm gonna go ahead and just get interviews from the top player, and that's it. You're hitting all perspectives, and I really do enjoy that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, by the way. And yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to do, because I understand that, everybody's Yu-Gi-Oh tastes are different. Some people like to play just casually. Some people just like goat format. Some people just want to care about just in the here and now. And some people just want to hear about just funny stuff that happens. And, I try to appeal to every single different audience. Like, there's not every single podcast for everybody, but there's always going to be something for someone. And I'm sure that a lot of people who are like really into your tournaments, or just looking for like major competitive tournaments that maybe are not quite remote duel invitationals, is going to be interested in this, because again, like, I've always respected luxury gaming and what they've done, because they're putting on like a tournament scene like never before. Like, we've seen like PPG like put out some stuff in here and there, but I don't think it's ever been as big as it has been with luxury gaming.
Yeah, and honestly, like, that's what I try to aim for.
Mm-hmm. And it's a fantastic product, man. So I really hope you keep going with luxury gaming, man, because it's a treat to watch. And like, I was watching a bit of the finals myself when I was on it, because I was busy throughout most of the weekend, but able to at least catch the finals. So I was glad for that. And tournaments are just fun to watch, because again, they're heavyweight bouts. It's what we want to see. Like, who doesn't want to see like the best versus the best? I mean, we usually want to see that in any kind of competition where it's like sports, for example. We always want to see the best, and that's what you're kind of doing here, because and I'm really glad that you like are kind of spearheading this program, because it's a fantastic thing to watch, man. I hope you realize that that's coming from me.
Yeah, and I just, like I said, it's just for the community. I'm really
Yeah.
just trying to where everyone has a place to play for great prize support, and it's very consistent. That's
Mm-hmm.
like I said, that's the goal at all
Yeah,
times.
and definitely, man. I'm glad it's going, man. So keep going with that, man. So like, because you're running all this stuff, man. As you mentioned before, you can't really play so much, man. Is there like some inkling for you to be able to want to like step back into the game and play? Especially since like you can play this game really well, and you're a strong duelist in your own right.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I tried all these different tournaments,
Mhm.
and I tried the remote duels, I tried PPGs before, and honestly, like, I just can't participate in those tournaments anymore. It's just like I see, so like, when you're hosting so many tournaments and you're seeing like inconsistencies throughout these tournaments, it's just like it just doesn't get me in the mood to play, because there's just so many inconsistencies with these other tournaments, and honestly, it's just not appealing to me. And that's why I try to strive to make mine better, just so people can have like a real experience, you know?
Is it kind of, yeah, is it like one of those situations where like you kind of see it, it's like, okay, well, I can definitely do better than the way like this is going, and then that kind of be an inspiration for why like you guys like started like doing the LCSs and kind of having these tournaments being run so well?
Yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much basically how I get my tournaments to improve. I play in these other groups. I try to see what weaknesses were, and I try to even improve on theirs uh,
Mm-hmm.
with with mine. You know, I learn from their mistakes. I learn from every mistake. I learn from my own mistakes. You know, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's how you improve. You know.
Yeah, definitely that. I mean, that's because again, like you're a really great player and all that. I'm pretty sure that's like one of the reasons why you've had so much success in the game is being able to learn from your own mistakes and whatnot. And could you tell me a little bit more about the success that you've had in this game so far? Like as I mentioned at the start, like you've had like a ton of like YCS tops, and you've won like a 3v3 event itself. Like, so what I really should be asking is that what could you attribute like a whole bunch of your success to?
Yeah, so when I started, you know, I started I started way back in like 2014 as, a kid who just
Mm-hmm.
who just played casually, locals and stuff like that. Nothing too big. I went to a YCS during like Pepe format. I ended up getting like 38th place.
Mm-hmm.
Um, After that, just started going. I pretty much like took like a break until like an event got closer to me, which was I believe YCS Atlanta zoo format,
Mm-hmm.
and me and Paul Cooper became really good friends, and uh, we worked together through a lot of zoo format. After zoo format 2017, I think it was like in nationals 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I honestly wasn't sure if I was gonna play because I just I was just so focused with school and other stuff, so I didn't know if I was gonna play or not. And my brother was like, "Hey, let's go to this regional in in Alabama." And this is, I think, right after Jeff Jones had won with the pendulum deck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I played the event, and I was like, "Wow, this pendulum deck is awful." So I was like, "I can't believe this is what the format is, and this is what people are playing." I'm like, I think I'm gonna go to the next YCS, which is in Dallas, and play the new deck that's coming out, which is Spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I did, and I ended up getting top four. And then from there, I decided, man, I think I want to travel a lot more, and I want to get my name out there. So, you know, I try to take it upon me to go to a couple events. I bubbled, I think, uh, the the two events before Secaucus, and when I went to Secaucus, I finally ended up getting back into top cut. Uh, this time, getting top eight,
Mm-hmm.
and this is when I first joined luxury. So this brought a lot of attention to the team for the fact that I brought something totally different to the event. Goki Sky Striker. There was
Mm-hmm.
not there was no one playing Goki Sky Striker. When I tell you no one was playing Engage and Hornet drones in their Goki deck, yeah, and after that, I think it just took off and 20 I think yeah 2018 or yeah it should be 2018 at this point, yeah, 2018
Yeah, that's
nationals, 2018 nationals, got top eight, um, Goki Sky Striker again, and that deck ended up actually winning the event, and a lot of players did end up topping the event with my deck. And then from that point, um, I just kept working on the Goki deck, and a lot of top players seen success with my list. Gabe Vargas ended up winning, I believe, Niagara with my Goki list.
Mhm. Oh, okay, got it. I didn't know it was your list. Oh.
Yeah, so he ended up winning the event with my Goki list, and from there, I just played Goki, and it was really hard for me because I had gained so much tension from like the last few events of me playing. So a lot of players were just game one ending on like Abyss Dweller, like they just knew what they were playing. They were always just going anti combo. So it was getting really hard. For the first time, I seen like the struggle of being known. Like if you're known and people know what deck you're playing, like your event becomes a lot harder.
Mhm.
So I'm playing throughout these events. I was like, man, I'm struggling with a lot of combo decks. I think I have to switch it up because like the amount of people expecting combo from me. So I ended up switching it up for UDS Vegas, and I ended up playing Sky Striker and ended up getting top 8.
Yeah, it was top 8.
Yep. So I ended up getting top 8 with the Sky Striker deck. And after that, I realized, man, a lot of these people now think I'm on the Sky Striker deck. So for the next event, I'm going to go ahead and play combo again. So I played combo again. I ended up getting top 8 in the 3v3. So this is the first ever 3v3. Me, Christian, and Cam Neal ended up getting top 8. Unfortunately, we lost in top cut. But, top 8, still very good. And then for pretty much the rest of that season, I didn't do too well. And it happens. Sometimes you think your deck was the right deck, and it's not. Or sometimes you could have just gotten unlucky. There's those factors.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 2019 Nationals. My deck ended up winning the event. So 2 Nationals in a row, pretty much. The deck that I was playing pretty much won the event. But for this Nationals, Cody ended up playing my Thunder Dragon Crusadia deck,
Yep.
and, or the Danger Thunder deck, and he ended up winning. So I put in a lot of hours with Cody. Me and Cody pretty much traveled for a whole 2 months together, and we worked on the decks together. He ended up winning nationals, and I ended up getting second place at the ARG Invitational that same month. So,
And at least that all this hard work culminated because you went to travel to Lima, Peru, which was the first 3v3 event that ever happened in Latin America, and you won that event. So finally, like after all this work, you've won a 3v3 yourself.
yeah. So after 2019 Nationals, I went to the Middle East and I spent time with my family. So I went to UDS Indy. I played the event with pretty much the same deck I played for Nationals. Nothing too different. And honestly, I just didn't like. I didn't like how I just didn't like the deck that I was playing, and I realized that for this year, like I looked back for the last like 2 years and what made me not top the events that I played in. And a lot of the reasons why I didn't top the events that I played in is because just I was testing with a lot of different people, and honestly, sometimes it's good to get other brains involved, but at the same time, it's also just it could be a downside to your tournament when everyone is on the deck that you're playing. So for this season, I really wanted to focus on just working on my own decks and focusing more on technical play and just trying to make it to where where people don't know what I'm playing when I'm walking into the event, because a lot of the times when I was walking into events, people knew what I was playing. People were countering me for game ones, and it just made my tournament experience a lot harder to go through. So for this upcoming season, I wanted to make sure I was playing something different for majority of the events, or something that was just so good that it shouldn't have mattered if people knew now. So I started. So I didn't, like I said, I didn't really test much for Indy. Didn't do too so well, but I did reflect hard off that event. I ended up going to the next event in Portland because I did want to do the regional grind for this year. Went to Portland, played a Orcus deck that I thought was really good. It was going second Orcus. And me and a couple other people like Peter, Tran, and Dennis all played the deck. I really worked hard on it because I thought going blind second and playing Mystic Mine was a really good win con in this format. A lot of people weren't playing Mystic Mine at the time.
Mhm.
I ended up decking out 7 people in Swiss.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
With the Mystic Mine. So I thought it was a really good strategy for that event. And it was so good that I actually played it in another event, and it was in Niagara. And I got top 16 at that event. So I had gotten top 8, then top 16. Then I had went to Mexico. I ended up losing on the last round. From there, I ended up going to Texas, and I played Sky Striker Orchest. And honestly, for that event, it was really just my fault. Like, all my losses were to my misplays, and honestly, like, I take accountability for that. But I do think my deck was honestly the strongest in the room. I was playing Sky Striker Orchis during a time where no one actually played it, and it ended up becoming the best deck eventually.
Yeah, I mean that deck was insane. Like when it finally got like popularized, because I was at a Toronto regional probably around like November of 2019. So this was when like Orcus was at its peak, and I think I ran like 5 mirror matches, and striker cards were so incredibly powerful, and so I can imagine like being able to play like the striker engine before anybody knows it, because it's such a huge advantage being able to play with that engine itself with Orcust.
Yep. So from that point, me and Kamal Crooks ended up testing so much together. And this is where me and Kamal really just got together and we started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot. And that's the only person that I decided to test with. He was banned at the time. But, you know, he still wanted to play and he wanted to be refreshed because in a few months he was going to be released from the list. And
Reinstated, in other words. Yeah.
Reinstated. And he just wanted to get refreshed from the game, and he wanted to start playing again. So me and him got together. We were both playing. We both put in a lot of hours. We tested for Peru, and me and him just tested so much for Peru with the Orcus deck. And we were playing without the Sky Striker cards, but we knew of them. We were unsure if we wanted to play them or not for the event in Peru. We decided, no, let's just continue to play this version because this is what I know, and I've been playing it for weeks. So I pretty much decided to bring the Orcus deck. And my teammate, Arnold Nataban, who hadn't actually been playing within since what I believe June of 2019, and I think this is November. So he hadn't played for a couple months, as you can see. He actually went into the event with no testing at all.
Oh, wow, really?
So, I ended up having him play my deck, and, I helped him through the course of the tournament since it was a 3v3. I was able to, to coach. So I pretty much got him to play my deck, and the deck was just so good, and no one was on it that it was just, it didn't matter that he didn't play in months because the fact that how overpowering the deck was. And I was there on it, like I was there by his side helping him. And my friend Christian, he was going to play the Dragon deck originally, but I got him to switch over to the Orcus deck after testing, and he pretty much just immediately switched over. So pretty much the night before Peru, it was just me who had so much experience with the Orcus deck and knew the ins and outs of it just by playing. And I had a friend who pretty much switched over last minute, and I had a friend that hadn't played in months. And and we still ended up winning the event due to the fact of the consistency and the power of the deck. So it's amazing.
How was that feeling when you found out that you won the 3v3 YCS?
Honestly, like it was just a crazy feeling. You're always, I went to all these events. I've been trying to win. I had seen so many of my friends win within the last couple within the 2 years. A lot of my friends win. Like, I mean, especially like a lot of them were with my deck list, so I'm like, eventually I was going to get one. And I've seen a lot of top players win, like even Jesse had gotten a win before. I think he actually got 2 wins before that. So, a lot of top players. And I was like, man, I definitely need a win here. So I put in a lot of hours and a lot of work for Peru, and it ended up paying off. And then after that, I ended up going to I think this one was Pasadena. I played the Sky Striker deck. I ended up getting top 32. That was the first time I've ever gotten top 32. And I think Niagara was the first time I ever got top 16 as well. So
Yeah.
After that, I ended up going to a PPG playing the I think the Spiral deck, just to try it out. It was horrendous. Everyone was playing the Spiral deck. Everyone was playing Droll. Like, it was just horrendous. I was like, man, this format is not looking too hot. So going into the UDS, I was like, I'm gonna play Luna Light because I didn't want to deal with the mirrors. But I walk into the event and everybody's playing Shadal for some reason. Like, a Shadal structure deck just came out, and everyone's like, oh, I think Shadal's the best deck. And I'm like, wow, I'm playing Spiral again because everybody just decided to switch last minute and play a deck that I thought was definitely just not the best. And I was like, okay, this is definitely a game changer because a lot less people were playing Spiral, so I had more chances to win because I'm not getting FTK turn 1 pretty much. And even if these other decks do open Droll and Lockbird and stuff like that, it did not matter because they're going to give you more turns. So, Droll is going to last 1 turn, and if you can get more turns, it shouldn't matter. As in the Spiral Mirror, if you got Droll and Lockbird, you're pretty much dying the next turn. So it was a big change. So I ended up playing Spiral for that event, getting top 8. After that, went to I actually got first in Swiss at that event. And then after that, I went to the 3v3 in, I think this is Vegas, the last event.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting first after Swiss, and then I ended up getting to top 16. And I also ended up going to a regional after that, and I ended up winning with the Spiral deck as well. And after that, I was like, oh, I'm going to go to Brazil. And it was like the day I said I was going to Brazil,
Right.
got on the TV and was like, oh, there's going to be a travel ban. So I crossed that off my list. And then from there, it was just COVID. And that's when the LCS started popping off. And that's where everything pretty much changed. But no, before COVID, I was definitely on a hot streak because it was Peru, Peru, Pasadena, the UDS, and Vegas. I had one that I won an event, and I topped 3 events in a row, and I even won that regional within the those 2 months. So I was really just on fire within that time point. And honestly, who knew how far this could have went. That's the thing. You'll never know what could have happened next, but. Now I'm just running events, and maybe when events come back, I'll play again. I'm very unsure. I'm really focused on my life and right now. I'm just trying to get, my life together, try to set up a career for myself.
It's a really funny flex that you say that, I've only had 1 top 16 and 1 top 32, and you mean that in a negative context because every other one of your placings has been better than that, and it's a really funny flex because a lot of people I'm sure haven't even got to anywhere close to you, and they would kill to have that kind of flex that you would have, just at least I have at least 1 top, but it's no, it's yeah, top 32 is I only have 1, and that's my worst one out of all that. It's a funny little flex you've got. It's pretty, it's a cool stat definitely too, but I mean, again, that's just kind of a list of great accolades that you've had so far.
Yeah, honestly, I'm always trying to just get a W, regardless of the what placing. I'm just trying to get a W. I'm really trying to get to Worlds for when events come back. That was my last goal pretty much, to go to Worlds. And I was going to qualify for the top 16 for the Worlds grind, but since COVID, things happen. What can you do?
Yeah, and it's definitely been a rough thing for a lot of people too, because I know that there's many people who have been going out for these world grinds, and then of course COVID hits, and that just completely takes away a lot of the that time and effort that people were putting into to be able to go to that too. And I'm pretty sure Brazil that was one of the events that was supposed to happen, but then COVID hit and then just got canceled, and then that like really messed things up for a lot of people. I think Jesse was a part of it too for trying to go to that event, and you travel all the way out there like partway across the world for for no reason. So it definitely has to be a pain for knowing that you were trying to go to that event and you couldn't go to it because of the whole pandemic situation.
Yeah, and I wasn't just on a hot streak. I was just ready to go to the next event
Yeah.
and play because honestly, I felt like I was at the best point of my entire Yu-Gi-Oh career. I was just on fire, and I was on my A game at all times. I was just where I needed to be.
Yeah, I completely understand that. Like, why would you want to stop if you're on a hot streak? Because you're feeling really confident at that point, and you've been playing really well. It's like you want to keep that going, and carry that momentum hopefully into to Worlds, like you said. And speaking of which, assuming that things are gonna open up again, and we can start playing like in real life tournaments again, is the World Points thing something you're gonna attempt to pursue again?
Honestly, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, I have a lot going on. I'm working a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to focus more on my life. It's definitely what's more important.
Yeah, definitely.
Can't really travel as much as I wanted to. So, right now it's just, no events right now. I'm just going to keep running LCSs. When events do come back, I might just go to the bigger ones, and that's it.
Okay.
And I'll try to go to Worlds the hard way.
Yeah. So, but you still at least be involved in like the playing aspect of the game when the world opens, if and when the world opens up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to play. I'll try to get to as many events as I can, and I'll try to put in a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
But I also do focus on playing or posting more LCSs during the time when events come back as well, because I do think LCSs are still going to be a thing after COVID, because before events, I'm gonna run them right before a YCS weekend, and maybe even 2 weeks before a YCS weekend, so people can go ahead and test for the events. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm really gonna focus on making an LCS still a thing. Pretty much similar to ARG, but the difference is it's going to be all online, and it's convenient for people to play.
Yeah, it really is too, especially for people who can't get access to like X card because like the format can be a little bit expensive with all like the power creep cards that we have right now. Like for example, like we have prosperity droplets, like talents. Not really cheap cards per se. And then the way that these tournaments are go for people that are playing. Like for example, let's say like I didn't have any of those cards at all, and I wanted to get back into the game. Well, I can test with these cards online, and if I like them and I do it, then I can start like borrowing cards or buying these cards and then prepping for in real life event. And if they don't work out for me, then I can just choose not to make it. So it really does help with those players that are in limbo as well, that for your tournaments too, that they can make a conscious decision to decide to play an event or not based on how competitive your event is. So I think that's also a really good factor for having these events like earlier than like other big events too, so they can use it as a training ground as well, because they know that it's going to be very competitive on that end as well.
Yep, that's exactly how I want to use it, just as a place where people could test and decide what they want to do moving forward. And honestly, that's what I think is going to gain a lot of people, and that's what I'm saying, man. I try to cater to the community as much as possible, so they can have a good experience, and I can make their lives just a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you like primarily do just some like a little bit of commentary here and there for your streams and whatnot. Have you ever thought of like maybe like investing a little bit more into like that side of the game as like the commentary part of it?
Honestly, I try to do what I can. When it comes down to LCSs, I'm always willing to stream them.
Yep.
There's just so much going on at the moment. Like I can't really be going on to streams and stuff. Eventually maybe, but right now I'm just, like I said, focusing more on my career, and eventually down the line maybe I'll play again and get back to where I was.
Yeah, I completely understand that, man. Like life gets in the way, and that happens. I'm sure it's happened to every single Yu-Gi-Oh player that's out there that that loves this game. It's like we've all had something that's interfered with it, whether it's like work, school, like other commitments. Stuff happens. It is what it is. But at least like the love for our game hasn't like really like waned or wavered or whatnot. It's just sometimes it's just got to take a backseat to everything. And I completely understand where you're coming from, and I'm pretty sure everyone else that's like listening to this like completely understands where you're coming from, man. So I don't think anyone's ever gonna like hark on you or judge on you or anything for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So if you were playing like in this format right now, is there a deck in mind that you'd be playing?
Right now, I've been playing recently, just messing around sometimes. Right now, I think the format's very stale. I think Drytron and Virtual World are the two clear best decks.
Mhm.
But honestly, it's just I just don't really enjoy the format how it is right now. I think VFD is very oppressive, and I think that card needs to go. I think Ben 10's very wild as well. So I mean, honestly, like I would just be happy if VFD went. In all honesty, because like that's just been the issue card for several years now. So I think that card just needs to go at this point.
Yeah, and like, there's been talk of like how Virtual World could operate if we took away VFD, and then if like look at Shen Chen for example, like
It can
that card is
operate.
disgusting in itself.
The thing is, like, they have a lot of other interruptions in the deck, such as
Mhm.
Chuche, and there's that new rank 9 that just came out, and they're ending on boards where it's like number 35 or rank 9 Chuche, and like that's just not even like the worst to end on in a regular game. Like you could do so many different things in the deck. So I think the format needs to change a little bit. Maybe a hit on Eldritch, maybe definitely a hit on VFD, maybe a hit to Dragoons. I'm not too worried about Red Eyes Dark Dragoons. I know a lot of people complain about that card, but I don't think that card's that big of an issue. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, I think like the format in general, it's like it's not too bad right now, but it's just I think VFD is just becoming too much of a headache for me to even want to play right now.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't
like
even matter how many hand traps you open. Like your opponent can still spit out a VFD sometimes, and it's just
yeah,
it's just sometimes it's not. You don't enjoy it when you can't play a whole entire aspect of the game. Like when you can't use your all your monsters. It's just so wild.
yeah, because I've had many games this format where it's just ended on the first turn. Where I look at my hand, it's like, okay, well, can't really do anything this turn, so you've got me. And then like I would do the same thing back to my opponent, and then maybe I'd do the same, and then like maybe I'd make it like one grind game in between. But yeah, like half the time there's at least like one game going on where you just got to scoop in your first turn, and that's I'm pretty sure not a lot of people really enjoy having that as part of the game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the game during Orcus format. Like that was just
Mm-hmm.
the peak point for me because honestly, there was just a lot of interaction. There's so much interaction
Yep.
in the Orcus format, but now I feel like there's very minimal interaction. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the format, the way it's shaping up, like if VFD and stuff like that does get hit, then I think the format's actually shaping up quite nicely. I think
Yeah, because
Konami's doing a really good job on like shaping the format up because a lot of the combo decks now are not one card combos. There are a lot of like 2 3 card combos, and
mm-hmm.
when you're doing stuff like that, it's definitely more. It's better than like Spiral, for example, where it's all just like 1 card combos and like other decks where it's 1 card combos and stuff like that, like
Mm-hmm.
Connector, stuff like that. You don't want 1 card combos. You always want to have like 2 card combos in the format.
Yeah, especially when like you're going against like going second. Sorry, you're going against that, and then you've got a pin and corner, and then all of a sudden they top deck that 1 card combo, and all of a sudden they're right back in the game. It's like you've like out resourced your opponent, you've out exhausted the resources, and they just kind of come back with one lucky top deck when you're like +4 on them, and like you don't want to lose by that at all. Nobody wants to lose by that, so that's definitely like, a great way to kind of slow it down for sure. I don't like the 1 card combos myself.
So I think they're doing a really good job slowing it down.
Mm-hmm.
Like even the rock deck wasn't 1 card combo. Like you have to start off with the rock. You used to start off with the emancipator. You activated 5, then you would have to hit another one, and if you don't hit, you have to have another extender. Like I think stuff like that is fine. Like having combo decks like that is fine. So um, even with a list, there's a lot of good decks. So if VFD gets hit, a lot of other decks can actually start playing. And if Drytron maybe gets hit a little bit, just maybe hit Ben 10, I feel like the format would just be really good. And honestly, Dinosaur can probably they could still hit miscellaneous because like you got to remember like when these decks go away, that deck might just come back, and miscellaneous is definitely oppressive.
Mhm.
So
And then not to mention like it'll force like other decks to kind of play a little bit differently. Like for example, if we take away like we said VFD, we said many times, like we can start running like Shen control because again, like having a macro on board is really painful for just a lot of people just to go against. And if you take away like Benton, maybe like you start playing with like some megaliths or something like that to kind of compensate for the Benton. So like there's so many different routes you can go with it if you take away a lot of like key cards in some of the decks, but they can
yeah.
still be like good in their own right.
Yep, Megalith, Necroz. You could even like I know they're getting a new XYZ soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different options you can go with. And for virtual world, there's a bunch of different synchro sixes. There's a bunch of synchro nines. There's new rank nines. There's they still have Chuche. You know, they can play hand traps. There's multiple different routes you can go with these decks.
Mm-hmm. And we've definitely seen it before. Like example, like Salamangreats when like Mirage Stalio went out and like debug went to one. Then we saw like okay, Flame Buffalo started to get like really popular, and that was starting to come out. Like Prohibit Snake started to come out too, and then we started doing like the update jam or like transcode talker kind of combo. So it can really open up like a whole different like innovative way to play the deck, and like not to mention like BAs, we've seen like a million different variants of that deck as well. So and I think that's just a common theme of what we see in the ban list. Like take away one card, and then it opens up a completely new door for like different ways to play the deck. And I think that hopefully this ban list will like kind of do that for us.
There's so many changes that had happened within these lists that haven't even taken effect yet. Like Rusty's on, Rusty's off the list. Phantom Knight's got new cards. Burning Abyss is at full power. Like there's just all these things that have pretty much happened, and you haven't seen, yet like what their potential is because of cards like VFD and stuff. Because the game is ending in one turn. Like there's so many decks that you can play right now, and it's just I think they just need to go ahead and do something. Like even the Dogmatica cards are struggling right now. Like they're not even being played as much due to the fact of the format. And yeah, I just think they need to switch it up a little bit. I'm really excited for the new ban list. I'm really excited for LCS 11. I'm just excited for the future for my events.
And for LCS 11, is that going to be just like a 1v1 event?
Yeah, it's gonna be an individual event, and then I think it's gonna be that an individual event till at least 13. At least 13 might be a 3v3, maybe 15. Like it just depends. I try not to overuse the 3v3 aspect because I'm a person that doesn't want to make things die out. Usually when people are doing like for example, PBG, they did events every single weekend, and honestly, like people get burnt out, the format gets burnt out, and everything just starts going downhill that way. And honestly, I try to have it, some space in between so people can take off work. Some people can have can plan in advance. That's how I usually like to run my tournaments. I like to post them a month in advance to where people could actually figure out how they want to go about it.
Yeah, and that's always a good thing to do because again, like we all want to like be able to play every single event that we can, but some people can't like be a lot of the time off or anything. So it's good that you're getting these done in advance and you're like really planning far ahead for it. So I mean, and good on you for doing so. And do you have any help at all like in doing all this stuff, or like when it comes to like planning and promoting, or is this like just you doing this all?
You know, when it comes down to it, I do have a couple mods that OLAs are willing to help,
Mhm.
you know. But there's some things, that like I can't get help with.
Yeah.
Uh, Payment wise, like when it comes down to collecting payments for this event, um, I'm pretty much the only one that could really do anything about that.
Mhm.
Uh, when it comes down to stuff like that, it's really just on my end to get people more involved. It's honestly it's a lot on my end when it comes down to making really big decisions. It's really on my end, but my staff does help when it comes down to doing like pairings, when it does come down to doing the deck list for the tournament, when it comes down to judging and stuff like that. That's where my staff comes in, but for most behind the scenes stuff, like when it comes down to like these decisions and stuff like that, it's honestly usually just me when it comes down to that. Um, As for like sponsorships and bigger decisions like that, I usually go to my sponsor Nick. He really helps me out with that type of stuff. Because he knows a lot more about business than I do. He has more experience than me, so definitely helps me out when it comes down to stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Well, good on you, man, because these tournaments are really fun to watch for one thing, and it's really awesome, like seeing all the names that you're being able to pull all this, man, and you're giving exactly what the community is wanting, which is fantastic. So, man, I'm really glad you're like you keep keeping these tournaments, man, and like I'm definitely supporting you on that one. So, man, good job, like, and keep this up, man, because I'm really pulling for you, and I hope this like thing like really goes well with you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really do appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. So, any shout outs you want to give, man, before we head off?
Yeah, I do want to give out a couple shout outs here. Uh, my main shout outs will be to my sponsor Nick. You couldn't do it without him. He's he's helped me out a lot. I'd also like to shout out my staff. Adam, Anthony, George, Rodrigo, Christina, anyone that just helped me throughout. I have a bunch of people that have helped me out, and my mod staff. Pretty much everyone in that group chat has helped me out. So, shout out to them for sure. Shout out to my brother, always putting in the time and effort, calling me, making sure I'm good. Um, Shout out to Kamal, you know, just a good friend, always making sure that I'm set. So shout out to these guys, and shout out to Christian Urena, you know, the GOAT. So yeah, that's pretty much it for shout outs. I really do appreciate you having me on. So big shout outs to you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Also, I do recommend everybody to go ahead and check out our website, uh, Luxury Gaming LLC. So definitely check that out. Uh, Also, go ahead and check out our website, Luxury Gaming Facebook tournaments. That's pretty much our main things. We run online tournaments there, so check out our Luxury Gaming Facebook page if you guys want to enter some tournaments. So, yeah, I think that's it. Um, Maybe one more shout out. I think I forgot one last one.
Yeah, give
Check
it.
out Pack TCG. Like I
Pack.
said,
Love Pack.
I brought that up earlier before. I'm not kidding. He has literally the best channel on YouTube right now when it comes down for competitive play. He's he's doing a series called Balling on a Budget, where
Mm-hmm.
he's bought 3 structure decks, and he has a $10 allowance a week where he builds his deck through he builds the deck that way. So I think that series is insane, and I think he's putting in a lot of work, and he's been grinding it out. So big shout outs to Pac. Check him out.
And that's a fun series to watch because I've seen him take down like a lot of like Yugi tubers out there and like big names out there as well with that Shadal deck. It's really entertaining to watch, and I love that series. Definitely agree with you on that one. And all the links will be in the description below for all the luxury gaming links, man. Again, Hani, man, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Perennial YCS topper, winner of the YCS 3v3 in Lima, Peru with Orcas, man. Pleasure having you on, bro. And continued luck with you with the wonderful success that you've had with luxury game in the LCS, man.
Thanks, David. I really do appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you for coming on. You have a great night, man.
You too, David.